Off the track, he's probably one of the best friends I got. On the track, he's just a great competitor.
Son and father touch coming down on the line.
Hello everyone, I'm John Kernan. Welcome to RPM Tonight. We come to you this evening with a very heavy heart as the entire racing world mourns the death of 7-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to his family and to his many fans. Earnhardt suffered fatal injuries in a crash in the last turn on the last lap of the Daytona 500. Doctors say everything that could have been done was done to try and save Earnhardt's life. Earnhardt died of blunt force injuries to the head.
Hospital had already been notified beforehand and had mobilized a full trauma team, including a neurosurgeon, a trauma surgeon, an anesthesiologist, and several emergency room doctors, as well as nurses and x-ray personnel. And when we were met there, everyone did everything possible. CPR had already been begun from the first ambulance crew. That was continued. His airway was stabilized and he was placed on a ventilator. Chest tubes were put in, IVs, various tests were run. He was given cardiac drugs to try and get the heart started again, but the attempts were futile.
We appreciate everybody's support, and it's a tough time.
NASCAR officials Bill France Jr. and Mike Helton, along with Michael Waltrip and Dr. Bohannon, held a news conference Monday afternoon in Daytona Beach to answer questions about this tragedy. Mike Massaro was there and has the story.
This was supposed to be a very special day for Michael Waltrip. Traditionally, the winner of the Daytona 500 and his car are enshrined in Daytona, USA. But instead, in light of the tragedy yesterday afternoon, that ceremony was postponed, and another makeshift ceremony erupted outside of the Racing Museum. Hundreds of mourners gathered to pay tribute to the fallen 7-time Winston Cup champion. Just a sample of the pain felt throughout the entire city of Daytona Beach. The sun rose off the coast of Daytona Beach Monday morning. Life went on despite the loss of 7-time Winston Cup champion Dale Earnhardt. In the city that gave birth to modern stock car racing, fans had gathered for the sport's biggest race. Now they come together with heavy hearts and eyes filled with tears to remember the man in black and try to make sense of a tragic situation.
Just wanted to see the paper, make sure that it was real. I wasn't just dreaming it last night. It was real. Ain't right, but it's real.
In your mind, can Dale Earnhardt ever be replaced on the racetrack?
No, but I'd like to see him retire the number. I think the children should. And I think that I'm looking forward to seeing this boy grow up and just doing what his daddy did.
It just left a feeling of, a sense of, indeed, that this man is truly a legend, and he's my hero. And I will mourn for him, and I know that there are millions that will mourn for him. He brought me into stock car racing, and I know that he's brought millions in. I don't know, there's just something special about Dale.
I went off to college for 5 months, and I roomed with the Bill Elliott fan, and he wouldn't let me hang my Earnhardt posters because the way he thought of Dale Earnhardt. I mean, this is a real tragic loss on everybody, even the fans.
I've been an Earnhardt fan for several years, and I just never thought I'd be there when he passed away.
Monday, NASCAR's brass convened to address the sport's chief concern. The death of one of the sport's brightest stars has brought everyone's attention back to safety.
We simply are not going to react for the sake of reacting, and we're not going to do something just because it's a reaction that we can take credit for. We will do it when it's the right thing to do.
And the Hans device is an option. It's just something that I haven't elected to use yet. And I don't know, I don't personally think that is something that should be made a requirement, a rule. I just think that it's something that the drivers need to investigate and find out if it's right for them.
While legions of fans still try to digest the loss of a true American sports hero, NASCAR begins the healing process.
It's going to take time. If we ever feel it, I'm sure we will. Life has to go on. Somebody's going to come along. Curtis Turner was a hard-driving driver in his day. Fireball Roberts, Joe Weatherly. There were a number of drivers in their respective era. Roy Hall and Lloyd C., which is back before World War II, with the Dale Earnhardts of their era. So Dale Jr. looks to me like he's got pretty good potential, too, to follow in his father's footsteps.
Here in the Charlotte area, the home of many of the NASCAR teams, people were driving around with their lights on in honor of Earnhardt's memory. Flags were flown at half-mast. Fans paid their respects at Dale's shop. Among them was Ray Dunlap.
The memorial vigil began at Dale Earnhardt Incorporated early on Sunday evening. What is normally a desolate two-lane highway east of Mooresville, North Carolina, became a jam-packed caravan of grieving race fans. Throughout the night, 100 or 200 people were here on site. They've come out to drop off flowers or balloons, a T-shirt, or even an old racing hat. They've come to say goodbye to their fallen hero.
I feel like this, just like I did when Diana got killed over in England. You know, it's the same sadness. Too early, too young. Never should have happened.
He was just somebody to look up to. You just can't put it into words what he meant. Heroes aren't supposed to die.
It just don't seem true. It's just so hard to deal with right now, and I just feel for their family. I feel for Dale Jr. and what he had to go through yesterday, and Teresa, and I just feel for their family so much.
He was a great driver, and I just wanted to show my respect to him. And ever since I was little, my mama, she's always been a fan of him. And he's just been a household name. I just feel like I can't watch it anymore. It hurts. It's just like losing a brother or something.
As a race car driver, Dale Earnhardt was larger than life. He was NASCAR, much the same way Michael Jordan was the NBA and the way Tiger Woods is the PGA now. Dale's death is a tremendous loss for all NASCAR fans, but we will always have our memory.
I think he's the boss Confederate soldier.
And Earnhardt is right on his back bumper.
He had the ability that he had to settle down with.
Anything but first sucks.
Apparently just could shoulder the load and get the job done.
Look, he did a 360 and kept going, still no caution flag.
He could go places very few other drivers could go. He could go up in those gray areas where the angels feared to tread, and the great race drivers would go.
There's Earnhardt already moving up there. Look there, he just drives up in the middle.
Dale Earnhardt finally is a champion of the Daytona 500.
The Intimidator. I remember my first year down at IROC in Daytona, and he was standing by one of the trucks, and he's got his glasses on, and he's got his arms crossed, and he's just watching everybody walk by and stuff, and I went up and stood next to him, and oh, what are you doing? And he goes, I'm just looking at everybody.
Dale Earnhardt was born to stock car racing in Kannapolis, North Carolina in 1951. His father, Ralph, was the 1956 NASCAR Sportsman Division champion and a popular man in the Winston Cup garage. Ralph died in 1973 while working on his car. For Dale, racing wasn't a way of life. It was life.
That's all I ever knew. I never did play ball. I never did do anything much in school other than hurried and got home and seen what was going on with race cars. And it was a unique childhood. And that's why I think the love of racing and my drive to race was so strong when I started it. Because that's what I knew. That's what I grew up doing. And it's just like I knew how to do it. When I sat down in a race car, it was just natural.
As natural as it was very unrefined. When he arrived on the Winston Cup circuit full-time in 1979, he ruffled more than a few feathers and bent his fair share of sheet metal.
Very, very true. Like a diamond in the rough. It's one of those deals where you see some of them coming and you say, if he makes it, he's going to be okay. But if he keeps driving like this, he ain't going to make it.
I got into Richard at Martinsville. I remember one race that I got in the side of Richard going in one, but I did it from about 10 cars back from where I started, and I passed like 5 or 6 cars getting in the corner to get to Richard Petty. And I didn't do it to get to Richard Petty, but just Richard was in the way when I got there.
He tolerated it. The owners tolerated the wrecks and all that stuff, and some of the drivers tolerated some of the stuff that he did at that time, and it all worked out.
I was listening when they were scolding me. Richard Petty, too, when he was scolding me about driving over the curb in the side of his race car.
He was listening, and he was learning. In 1980, Earnhardt became the first driver to win Rookie of the Year and the Winston Cup Championship in back-to-back seasons. After driving for Rod Osterlund and Bud Moore, Earnhardt signed on with former independent driver Richard Childress. The early going was rough, but a dynasty was in the making.
84 was a little bit of a tough year. 85 was even a tougher year. We blew up a lot of engines. I think we won a race or two both years, but Richard told me, he said, man, it's not really working out, and you're a champion. You know, if you want to go do something else, feel free to. And I said, no, man, we'll stick this thing out. We had 85 was a tough year. We turned the corner in 86, won a championship, and then we just went from there up. It just was amazing.
From 1986 to 1994, Earnhardt and Childress won 6 championships in 48 races. They had the best pit crew. They won on short tracks. They won on speedways. And Earnhardt's ability to master the draft became legend. The result was a fan frenzy and marketing machine that the sport has never seen. He copyrighted his name and signature and turned souvenir sales into a standalone booming business. His career was like an all-comers meet, beating the likes of Yarborough and Petty to Wallace and Elliott. Fans either loved him or hated him. There was no middle ground.
Dale Earnhardt came along when Richard Petty was going out, and we needed greatly a new superstar, and became a different kind of a hero than Richard Petty was. Became the Intimidator, Man in Black, and sold a lot of tickets for us. Got a lot of TV ratings up there.
But the Intimidator's Achilles heel was Daytona. He had won there more than any driver in history, but never in the Daytona 500. In 1998, on the 20th try, the sport's biggest star finally took the sport's biggest prize.
Been here a lot. This is the greatest time I've ever had in Victory Lane right here. This is it.
As Earnhardt chases his 8th championship, his son joins the Winston Cup ranks as a Busch Grand National champion, the same series that Ralph won 43 years ago. In that time, the Earnhardt name has gone from the dirt tracks of North Carolina to the title of a multi-million-dollar racing corporation.
Win the championships and race against Petty and people that he raced against, and Yarborough and Pearson and these guys. Pretty unique, pretty awesome thing. All I can remember or think about is that he would have enjoyed this so much, and what we've accomplished and what we've done, and enjoyed things I've done over time. And I'd like for him to have been along the whole ride. It would have been neat.
Dr. Jerry Punch joins us now. And Jerry, I know Dale was a very good friend of yours, and later on in the program we'll talk more about what kind of person he was away from the racetrack. But right now, I think we should concentrate on who he was on the racetrack and what he meant to this sport.
John, it'll be hard to put into words what Dale Earnhardt meant to motorsports. In other professional sports, to my knowledge, we've never had anyone like that. In golf, he would be Arnold Palmer and Tiger Woods. In basketball, he would be like Michael Jordan and Shaquille O'Neal, because he was the past and the present. And actually, he was a big part of the future, because he was going to be around for 3 or 4 more years to go for that 8th championship this year. I don't know of anyone else in sports who came on the scene and went to the mountaintop and stayed there. For 22 years, Dale Earnhardt was at the pinnacle of this sport, and it's been a major part of it since the inception in his career back in the late 70s.
Over his career, is there one race that sticks out in your mind?
Well, I would think it would be the last race we did, back in October of last year at Talladega, October 15th. In fact, that's really how I got through much of last night, was being able to get up and go pop that tape in and look at those final 2 or 3 laps. And he's running 18th, you know, with 3 laps to go. And I remember when the race was over and we went to commercial, Benny Parsons and I were talking, and we're thinking, you know, what we just saw is not humanly possible. You know, remember, we're not talking about human, we're talking about Dale Earnhardt.
And we'll see portions of that race a little bit later on, especially that charge. Now, Jerry, everybody always said Earnhardt was a selfish man out there on the racetrack, that he wanted to win more than anything else. But I think on Sunday in the Daytona 500, we saw how unselfish he could be.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, very atypical of Dale Earnhardt. So focused, the intimidator. You know, in that final lap, I mean, he could have made a move. There was room on that racetrack. We've seen him put 2 pounds in a 1 pound bag or put a Monte Carlo where a Chevette should only fit. And he could have made the move up high on the backstretch, and probably Sterling Marlin or at least Kenny Schrader would have followed him. And they probably would just have had enough time to draft by Michael and little E out of turn 4. And Dale Earnhardt maybe could have won his second Daytona 500, but he had no intentions of making that move. He did what a father would do for a son, and ironically his son was the car right in front of him, or what a brother would do for a brother, Michael Waltrip, what he called or assumed was a little brother, or considered a little brother. And, you know, you see those things happen. You see that unselfish kind of move, and you think of Dale Earnhardt. You see those war movies where one guy in the foxhole says, you go on, I'll hold him off as long as I can. That's what Earnhardt did. He said, you guys go on, I'll hold him off as long as I can. And he did hold him off. And Michael Waltrip won, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. finished second.
When you consider all the victories that he had, you know, the 34 at Daytona, the Daytona 500 win, was there one thing in your mind that Earnhardt did not win that he wanted to?
I think, you know, years ago when he won a championship, we were getting ready to go to New York for the banquet, and he was going to go hunting all week, because the next time I saw him, he was going to be at the banquet. I said, Dale, there's a week to go in the most popular driver voting, and you're leading. I want to ask you the question, what does it mean to you to win? He said, well, I may not win it. So I said, well, look, if you don't win it, no one will ever see this tape. No one will ever see your answer. But I want to know what it means. And I asked him the question, and he answered it, and he was so emotional because that's what he wanted more than anything else. And nothing against Bill Elliott, who's a wonderful friend, you know, and is well-deserving of that award. But I think that's the one thing Dale Earnhardt Sr. wanted, was to win the most popular driver award, along with an 8th championship, because that tells you right there that the fans say, you are the man. And I know he wanted it very badly.
I know he was the man. Jerry, we'll talk more about Dale in just a few minutes. When we come back, our tribute to Dale Earnhardt continues with a look at Dale, the person.
Kevin, I'm going out. Remember, when the guy comes to fix the dryer, tell him it doesn't dry. If your mother calls, find out what flight she's on, otherwise we won't know where to meet her. Dinner's in the oven. Turn it on at 5.
Eat a Wendy's honey ham and chicken sandwich and something happens. That delicious combination of a whole breast filet, honey ham, and creamy Dijon sauce makes it difficult to pay attention to anything else.
And I told the neighbor you'd feed their cat. If you have a minute, honey, the back door's stuck open.
Come in. Wendy's honey ham and chicken.
Lunch, anyone?
Computer, note to self. I think you should integrate the customer.
Kema Azunma just can't get technology off his mind. Which means his customers don't always have to have it on their minds. WorldCom, Generation D.
Through the door. Welcome to the Miller Lite Racing Garage. This could be your chance to win the ultimate race fan experience.
Grab your Miller Lite Racing VIP hard card, and you could be the lucky winner who gets to race by day and party by night. You'll fly to Vegas and spend all day learning how to drive a stock car. And after a few laps around the track, you and your friends will get to hang out in the party pit at the Miller Lite Racing Garage. So pick up your Miller Lite Racing VIP hard card in the specially marked packages at Miller Lite. Taste the victory. It's Miller time.
Where are they going to be surprised? I hope they like it. Breakfast! Breakfast! Oh, wow.
Are these,
pancakes.
Wow. This looks great.
For heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, nausea, and diarrhea, Pepto-Bismol.
We made the syrup, too.
Because you never know.
Labonte up high. Earnhardt uses the last car of Rick Bass as a pick.
20 years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500. Checkered flag. Dale Earnhardt finally is the champion of the Daytona 500.
On a personal note, Dale Earnhardt told me back in the mid-'80s to be aggressive and to not be afraid of sticking a microphone in his face even if things weren't going well. I'll always remember that. And there was more to Dale than what you saw on the racetrack.
Words cannot possibly do justice the monumental loss the racing world, the sports world, and the American culture is now enduring. Dale Earnhardt was one of those rare individuals whose immense fame exceeded the bounds of his profession. He was Babe Ruth, Elvis Presley, all four Beatles. It is not overstated to say his following bordered on a religious scale. Hero, legend, icon, all expressions that fail in scope, fail to define a status for which a new word should be coined. But as we so painfully witnessed Sunday afternoon, Dale Earnhardt was in fact mortal. Mortal and human. Perhaps that is why he was loved so much. Underneath the nicknames that labeled his persona, the Man in Black, the Intimidator, there was a person in whom millions saw or wanted to see parts of themselves. He was fiercely intense and savagely competitive, but also funny and personable, decent and warm. All Dale Earnhardt ever wanted to be was a racer, and he was that to most, but so much more to a fortunate few. He was inseparable from his wife, Teresa. Where there was one, there was the other. He was a loving father to two sons and two daughters, Carrie, Kelly, Dale Jr., and 12-year-old Taylor Nicole. Dale Jr. represents the reinvention of Earnhardt himself, the father having nurtured the son to shared stardom. For him, the loss of his mentor is tragic, but devastating is the loss of his dad. Let us not underestimate, however, the loss that's being felt by those who live this sport every day. To them as well, he was family. He was a brother to some and a father figure to many. It was his respect that had to be earned. He was the one to impress and to make proud. He was a driver's driver and a man's man. He is truly a hero to heroes. May he now be where he always takes the checkered. Godspeed.
Team owner Richard Childress says words cannot express the tremendous loss they are feeling at this time. Childress says Dale Earnhardt was much more than a race car driver. He was a very loving husband and a proud father and grandfather. He was a successful businessman. He was also a hero to millions of racing fans throughout the country. And Jerry, you and Dale were very close. I know a lot of people only knew the Dale Earnhardt that they saw out there on the racetrack. But Dale was a very kind person, and he helped a lot of people along the way, didn't he?
You know, he did so many things, John, that he didn't want people to know about. He was afraid he would hurt his intimidator image. He didn't want people to know that he really was a nice guy. And I can remember doing a football game years ago out in Texas one night, and my wife, Joni, was 8 months pregnant with our daughter, and he called the house. He happened to turn to ESPN and saw me doing a football game, and he calls the house where we were living up in the mountains and says, Joni, said, I know Doc's doing a game, and it's snowing like crazy outside, and you're on top of the mountain. He probably took the four-wheel drive to the airport, right? She said, oh, yeah, but I'm okay. I'm still a month away from delivering. I'm fine, Dale. Thanks for calling anyway. He said, no. He said, I've already got two guys with a flatbed truck on the way up the mountain with a four-wheel drive, and one of the guys is going to stay there till Doc gets back in case you need anything. And that's the kind of guy Dale Earnhardt was. I mean, you know, he never forgot where he came from. He never forgot the people who helped him get where he came from. And if you were his friend, you were his friend. And anything you needed, he was there for you.
And I'm sure there are lots of stories like that. So what will you remember most about Dale away from the racetrack?
Well, I remember, you know, everyone knows that he was the driver's driver. He's the man's man. But I think the sensitivity for being a father and being a husband, you know, we all probably don't express ourselves the way we should. We saw that caress, that kiss that he gave Teresa before getting in the car on Sunday. We've seen these drivers hug their wives. But at the NASCAR Winston Cup Awards banquet this past December, you know, after he's finished his second in the points, he looks down, he's thanking everyone. At the very end of his speech, he looks down and he says, and to Teresa, what more do I say other than I love you and you get prettier every day. Now, what wife wouldn't want to hear that from their husband? Here is this guy, the intimidator, who chews off bumpers on a very tender moment, telling his wife he loves her on national television. That, my friends, was Dale Earnhardt.
Very memorable moment there for sure, Terry. We will be back with more of our tribute to Dale Earnhardt in a moment, but before we go to break, Jeff Gordon released this statement today. Brooke and I are deeply saddened by this devastating loss. Not only is it a huge loss for this sport, but a huge loss for me personally. Dale taught me so much and became a great friend.
If you love the sight of a big white-tailed buck moving through the brush, the excitement of ducks coming in over your decoys, the thrill of seeing a largemouth bass crashing your lure, you love Field & Stream, America's premier outdoor magazine. Call now and get a full year of Field & Stream plus 2 bonus issues for 86 cents an issue. That's 79% off the newsstand price. You'll also get this handy Mossio gear bag free with your paid subscription. It carries and protects your stuff exactly what you want in a gear bag. Just like Field & Stream is exactly what you want in a sportsman's magazine. It's bagging that trophy buck, catching the biggest trout, casting like a pro, using the right lures, improving your shotgunning skills, getting the greatest gear, plus timely coverage on the hottest places to hunt and fish in your area. It's all in Field & Stream, the great magazine of the great outdoors. Call now to save 79% and get this Mossio gear bag free.
Call 1-800-233-0500 now to get Field & Stream for just $12 plus the handy Mossio gear bag free. Call now, 1-800-233-0500.
So my mom named me Kathy with an I. You know, if you think about it, everything with an I in it's like so much better. Like ice cream's got an I, and Gandhi, you know, the bald guy, he was really nice. And then there's Candy, which is sweet, ESPN.com, not one I.
The tragic death of Dale Earnhardt has once again put the spotlight on the dangers drivers face any time they strap themselves into a race car. But does racing have to be that dangerous? Last summer, Bill Weber took a look at what we call soft walls.
At the point of contact, a 3,400-pound stock car traveling 150 miles per hour exerts force equal to 200 times the force of gravity. When taking that hit, current concrete walls do not give at all. The result is that only about 5% of that violent energy is absorbed by the wall. The remaining 95% has nowhere to go but back into the car and through the driver's body. Race cars are designed to draw some of that energy away from the driver, but not nearly enough. At some point, the wall needs to take its share of the energy. Several so-called soft walls are currently in development. Some are already in place. They range in construction from space-age material to the most simple in design. Tire walls, used race tires piled and roped together, have been a mainstay at road courses for decades. They only recently debuted on an oval. Mark Blundell suffered a broken foot and a concussion during Clark's first visit to Rio in 1996. The next year, the track installed tire walls in that same turn. 2 cars ended up in the wall. The tires gave way to the impact, and both drivers walked away unharmed. But tires may be too forgiving for stock cars, which weigh twice as much as an Indy car. In 1998, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway developed and installed an impact absorption system inside Turn 4. During the IROC race that August, Arie Luyendyk unwillingly tried it out.
And cars all over the track as a mammoth collision. A mammoth collision. Luyendyk is involved.
Amazingly, the former Indy 500 champion walked away. But the nearly full hour of cleanup time created a reluctance to install the system full-time. Using a poor man's version of Indy's system, many short tracks around the country employ styrofoam blocks. Again, the mess is a turnoff to many large track operators. Just last month at Watkins Glen, a combination of styrofoam, tires, and a guardrail may very well have saved the life of Busch Series driver Jimmy Johnson. But durability, withstanding more than one accident, is a problem with the current system. At least one group thinks they have the solution.
It's made basically from PVC and rubber. There are PVC pieces connect together, glue together, and a piece of rubber and some accessory for connect to bed.
Bureau International, based in Indianapolis, produces the Impact Protection System, 6x4-foot units that can be bolted to existing concrete walls. In a head-on 60-mile-an-hour collision, the IPS system absorbed almost 95% of the impact's kinetic energy, the total opposite of current concrete walls.
The waves react and absorb the energy. The first part distribute the energy, the second part absorb the energy. In the way that you assemble the waves together in this block is the way that you absorb more energy and you make longer the impact.
At about $900 per unit, a 1.5-mile oval could be completely fitted with the IPS system for about $1.2 million. The units are very portable and highly durable, capable of sustaining 3 direct impacts before replacement. Formula One tracks at Spa, Imola, and Nürburgring have already installed IPS. In America, both Laguna Seca and Mid-Ohio have placed orders. Some American ovals have inquired about the system, but there have been no takers yet. At least 2 other major soft wall systems are also available, including a cardboard-based system from racing safety pioneer Bill Simpson. With so many options, the question remains, why aren't they showing up at the track? Most track owners will not discuss the soft wall topic publicly. Those that will cite cost and reliability as issues. Some, however, are simply waiting on the American sanctioning bodies to give the word.
Scott Pruitt is one of the many drivers who has taken an active role over the years in developing safety measures for racing. But Scott, you say now is not the time to look at the safety aspect and what could be done.
Yeah, what I mean by that is, today is a day of grieving, reaching out and admiring and paying tribute to one of the sport's greatest drivers. And as we take this time to mourn for his death and pray for the family and the friends and his competitors, that's what today is about. It's about the grief and the respect that needs to be paid, because it's not going to make any difference from a safety standpoint if it happens tomorrow or the next day, but it certainly does for the death of one of the greatest drivers ever.
Yeah, the race will go on this weekend in Rockingham.
Right.
A lot of people don't understand how you drivers are able to take this kind of tragedy and deal with it in just a matter of days and be back out there facing that danger again. How do you do it?
Well, you don't think it's ever going to happen to you. I mean, as a driver, you feel you're going to jump back in there and go after it. And I've lost some very, very good friends. Greg Moore being one of them. He and I were close friends, and you never think it's going to happen to you. And I think that what happens as a driver is, and I think you could talk to Rick Mears about this, is when you get to the point of not having that fearless, that drive, that focus that you're going to do whatever it takes, then you're probably not going to have that spark to go out and win races, and that's probably when you're going to give it up.
What about Dale Earnhardt? Can you remember the first time you ever met him and what it was like? Were you intimidated?
Never intimidated, but I admired him forever. He was certainly one of the drivers that I looked up to, and most certainly one that, as Jerry was mentioning earlier, talking about the softer, the sensitive side to him. Getting a chance to know him more and competing, back and forth for Rookie of the Year with his son, and I remember after the Brickyard 400, he came up to me, and once he kind of bumped the back of my car, and then he got out and he came and kind of put his arm around me and just said, "Way to go," So there was a sensitive side to him that made him, larger than life.
Speaking of larger than life, a lot of people who are NASCAR fans, they are very familiar with him. But what about, like, you raced in the Champ Car circuit, you've run sports cars. How well known was Dale Earnhardt out of NASCAR?
I mean, I think that speaks for itself. I mean, when you talk about, you can turn on anything right now on any channel and you see how much tribute is being paid for one of the greatest drivers of motor racing, and whether it was NASCAR, which he did, or whether it was sports cars or Indy cars, he was certainly respected everywhere there was, and his following now, how big he's become with the renaissance of NASCAR and where it's been, and he's been the leader of that, and to have that end in tragedy is just unbelievable.
I guess the IROC series was probably the first time you met Dale, or competed against him?
Yeah, competed against him in the IROC series, and he taught me a lot. He told me not to get out of line. over the years, I've been able to race wheel to wheel with them, and I remember racing wheel to wheel with them at two places in particular that really come to mind. One was the Brickyard 400, and one was Pocono, and he let you know he was there, and when he wanted to lean on you, he certainly would let you know he was there, and you better take notice. But he also was in a position where you could race him hard, and I think he respected you for racing him hard.
How can you put into terms from a competitor standpoint just how huge a loss this is for the sport?
I don't think anybody can. I mean, when you talk about losing somebody this big, and what it's meant to this sport, and what it's meant to NASCAR, and what it's meant to motorsports, period, specifically here in North America, but worldwide, it's a huge loss that I don't think anybody can put words to, and I think one that we just have to reach out and mourn for his death, and pray for his family.
I know at the news conference down in Daytona today, they were asking Mr. France how do you fill the void created by the loss of Dale Earnhardt? It's not a void that you can fill, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, nobody will ever fill that void. I mean, Dale Earnhardt will always be remembered as probably one of the greatest there ever was. And for his son or for any other driver out there, he's going to have to make his own mark. He's going to make his own impression on the sport, and most certainly following in his father's footsteps, trying to emulate everything he did. But filling that void, never going to happen.
All right, Scott, thank you very much, and we will get together and talk about the safety issue, because there are some things we will need to discuss. It was supposed to be one of the happiest days in Michael Waltrip's life, but during his post-race news conference after winning the Daytona 500, he told reporters that he would rather be any place right this moment than here. We'll be back.
Thanks for calling Domino's. Can I take your order? Yes, we have a special offer. A large pepperoni pizza for just $9.99. And have you tried our new Cinesticks? Thanks for calling Domino's.
I want those free Cinesticks.
Andy says they're free. Well, if Andy says so, right now buy a large pepperoni pizza for only $9.99 and get Domino's new delicious Cinesticks. Absolutely free. Freshly baked, sprinkled with cinnamon and sugar, topped with creamy vanilla icing. Call now. Domino's, always delivers.
Sub-Zero in progress. Code 0 in progress.
Not another code 0, man. It's the civilian trying to call collect a dial 0. What a waste, baby. Easy now. Just give me the phone, sugar. You need to dial 1-800-CALL-ATT and you can save big bucks, Snowflake. Just dial right down the center. 1-800-CALLATT. Think she was digging you, Jack? Really? No.
Dial 1-800-CALL-ATT for collect call.
Super Tuesday. It's a beautiful thing, man.
First at 7, a Big Ten rematch. Andre Hudson and Izzo Spartan shoot for payback against Kirk Haston and the Hoosiers. Then at 9, road trip to South Carolina.
Nolan Richardson, he's the head hog, man.
Nolan's #1 hog, Joe Johnson, leads the Razorbacks in an SEC slam with the Gamecocks. Indiana, Michigan State at 7. Arkansas, South Carolina at 9. Tomorrow on ESPN.
Earnhardt Jr. looking to the inside once again as they come to the corner. Now he's going to go to the high side. He has a run. Jr. may have it here. He's got a good run up on top. Let's see how it goes. His final few feet. Son and father touch coming down on the line. Oh, man, old man Benny. Wow, what a finish.
I don't think any of us will ever forget that race. The first time Dale and his son Dale Jr. raced against each other was in an exhibition event in Japan in late 1998. Prior to that event, the Earnhardts got together to talk about the upcoming historic moment.
He's a teddy bear. Nah, polar bear. You're a teddy bear. Polar bear. You got a polar bear on the car, but you're a teddy bear. Polar bear is a lot different than teddy bear. The polar bear is a car bear. The polar bear's got the claws, and you go to you're a teddy bear in the feet. Well, I'm a pretty good qualifier. How you been doing over the past? I haven't been doing qualifying. Doing pretty good.
You know, in Japan, I've always ran different in Japan.
Pretty good over there. But it's going to be, interesting to see. He won't race me too hard. I could dock his pay. I could ground him. I could, take care of him.
I don't know. It might be worth it on the racetrack. And asphalt's pretty valuable.
Let him win. No.
You never let him win when I was a kid.
Yeah, you did too.
No, never.
You caught all the big fish. We went fishing. You caught the big fish.
You wouldn't let me do that.
Yeah.
I was doing that outright. Hopefully, I won't have
you better
to.
not
That'd be the hardest.
up on
Probably the hardest thing I ever tried to do in my life to get by him.
I got a wide red car.
It don't matter what country you're in. Oh man, there's too many to list. I learned integrity, willpower, determination, drive, and ability. How to utilize your talent and your patience. Just
a lot of patience.
Ongoing list of just small little details that really amount to a whole lot on the racetrack and off the racetrack. There's so much to be learned, and even still yet down the road to be learned and to be gathered up.
As you go through life, if you stop learning, then you stop winning. So, it's neat to be involved with him in his racing and seeing him grow. He grew up a lot as a teenager, but he has really grown up a lot in the last couple of years and matured a lot in the driver's seat and out of it. So it's pretty exciting to be a part of it.
Dr. Jerry Punch is back with us. And Jerry, can you describe the relationship that had developed between Dale Sr. and Dale Jr. as they started racing together the last few years?
Well, I think if you're a father and you have a daughter or a son, I mean, the pride is incredible. And I think that, the first time they raced in this country was at IROC at Daytona 2 years ago, and he went up to Dale Jr. and said, now, 3 things I'm going to tell you about this race today. Stay in line, and by the way, stay in line. Like lap 3 or 4, Dale Jr. gets out of line, gets in trouble, and when the race is over and Earnhardt has won it, Jr.'s coming into victory lane. I'm sitting here doing the interview, and he leans over and says, what part about staying in line didn't you understand? And he had a great relationship, and when Jr. won his first race at Texas, and then when he won again at Richmond, Earnhardt didn't wait on anybody. I mean, he walked up to Jr. and leaned down and very quietly whispered, said, congratulations, I love you, and find a way home. Because he was going to go on his airplane and go home and leave Dale Jr. there to do all the celebrating. But he didn't wait on anybody until this past Sunday when he waited on the field and let those 2 guys go win a race. So it was a special relationship, and now Dale Jr. will be the one who reminds us just how special his dad was for so many years to come.
Jerry, thank you very much. I know it's been a very tough 24, 25 hours for you, losing a great friend to Dale Earnhardt, and we will talk to you again next week. We've received thousands of emails today from fans expressing their grief over Dale Earnhardt's death. We thought it would be nice to share a few with you. RPM Tonight's tribute to Dale Earnhardt continues in a moment. This is from Kathy in Indiana. Just wanted the entire racing world to know that our hearts once again are hurting. He stood tall in his beliefs and raced with his heart.
All right, boys, last card.
I'm gonna raise you $1.
You must have something, boys.
Just $1. Hey, don't you know about 10-10-220? What?
Yeah, man, 10-10-220. All calls up to 20 minutes, 99 cents. Just 7 cents a minute after that.
All calls up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents? See, $1 is worth a lot. I'm out.
Me too. I call you.
Do you have any 5s?
Go fish.
Dial 10-10-220. There's a new star rising. The fans are raving. This one's going to be legendary. When you're the next big thing, everybody wants you. Even Kobe Bryant. Introducing the next big thing from McDonald's. It's the Big and Tasty.
Nice shot.
There's no sense in working in construction unless you're comfortable.
Hey, you put these boots on in the morning, and at the end of the day, you're going to feel good enough to do a little something else for yourself.
With Wolverine DuraShocks, comfort is a guarantee.
Only one can be the best.
To treat athlete's foot, it's Lamisil AT with full prescription strength. These take 4 weeks of treatment. Lamisil AT cures it with just 1. 3 months later, you're still athlete's foot free. Lamisil AT, the best way to cure athlete's foot.
A great tradition continues on ESPN2. Friday Night Fights. This week's main event, Jesus Chavez takes on Tom Johnson in a 12-round NABF Super Featherweight Championship battle. Friday Night Fights, Friday at 9 on ESPN2.
John from Morrisville, New York, wrote to us with this suggestion. They need to retire the number 3 from racing. No one will ever be able to fill the hole left by Dale's death. If you'd like to share a favorite Earnhardt memory with us, log on to the internet and visit rpm.espn.go.com.
Hey, brother! It's me, Anthony! You want to get together later? The doctor said it's not contagious.
Now, Sprite.com makes it easier to buy just about anything you want. Under every cap is a free Sprite or Rocket Cash. Online money you can use through Sprite.com. Drink Sprite, get Rocket Cash. Buy what you want.
One is a crime-fighting mastermind. The other is a drooling animal. On March 2nd, the smartest dog meets the dumbest human.
That's Satan's dog.
See, take your collar.
I'm gonna be you.
Spot. Run. See Spot Run. Rated PG. Starts March 2nd at a theater near you.
Back in those days, we had no money for games. The only game we had was kick the kid with one shoe. That's why I fancied Lycos Games, though. It's all free, there's prize money galore. Now I'm the one that's kicking butt.
Whatever you're into, dig into it deeper, unlike us.
Well, I thought it did pretty good in the 80s. I got a lot of people. I'm really thankful for NASCAR and Bill France and all the folks who really made all us NASCAR drivers. And I want to thank ESPN for covering our sport so well, but also Richard Childress, my car owner, and Jim Goodwin, sponsor, that's done so much for me. But Richard and all the gang at the Jim Goodwin's race shop, my wife Teresa, thank you very much.
There was an aura about Dale Earnhardt. When you talked to him, it was sometimes difficult to maintain control of the interview. And more often than not, it was just better to let Dale take over.
I can remember going to the races with my dad when I was 10, 12 years old. And that was what you was involved in. I really didn't play that much sports in school. I was always eager to get home and see what was going on with the shop, the race car, and couldn't wait to go to the next race. I'm a race car driver. I am. I've stayed competitive, and I started racing. My first thing in racing when I got in a race car was to want to race. I get psyched up for the 500. It's the first race of the year. We've tested. We've worked hard. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go racing. I'm down in the garage area bouncing around, seeing everything, what's going on, and the guys are all pumped up. I'm ready to go racing. It's not going to break my heart if I win the championships and never won the Daytona 500. 50th anniversary of NASCAR. Who would have believed I could win the Daytona 500 and 50th anniversary of Daytona? Our 20th year here, we're going to win that championship. Anything you can have or do to be competitive more than the other guy and beat them is a part of your plan to beat them or your system to beat them. And if you can intimidate them and then they call you an intimidator, well, so be it.
Who or what intimidates Dale Earnhardt?
My wife. Don't you think a kid that's raced in Winston Cup, Bushman National Law would know what to wear a sponsor's hat, like Dad does? Dad,
I'm still learning.
His big brother carries the first race, and he's got a sponsor's hat on.
Slow learner.
Slow
learner.
Slow learning. Well, you're quick on the track, Jesse, but you need to please wear the sponsor's hat. You do look around and try to not go so fast. You need to stop and say hi or say, call your mom and tell you you love her before you leave town or when you get back in town. And I still don't do that enough. Be close with your wife and kids and stuff like that. Because I'm going to tell you, I'm a lucky person. I've got a great wife, got a great family, got great kids. Fortunate to have a lot of things and to be able to enjoy a lot of things. Probably a lot of people don't have or will never have. But it really doesn't matter what you have. As long as you got happiness and family and friends and church, and enjoy it and take advantage of that happiness. Don't let it slip away. Don't let it go by you. I hear drivers talk about we're going too fast and we're doing this and we're doing that. Well, maybe we are. Maybe we're not. What's he to say? I mean, how do you put a gauge on it? How do you slow? Do you want to race or don't you? I want to race.
Before we take a break, here's another email we received from Neil in New York. He writes, I think NASCAR should leave the pole spot open at Rockingham in memory of Dale Earnhardt.
Now that you bought your kid just about every I gotta have this or I'm gonna die thing under the sun, you may not think this is the right time to buy a computer. Think again. Now you can get a complete Dell system with an Intel Pentium 3 processor, speakers, and monitor for just $849. You'll also get 1 year of DellNet by MSN Internet Access, and you don't have to make any payments for 90 days. 90 days of blissful freedom. Of course, your system will be backed by Dell's award-winning service and support. To order a Dell Dimension system with an Intel Pentium 3 processor and not make any payments for 90 days, call Dell or go online. Just think, this may be the last I gotta have this or I'm gonna die thing you'll have to buy.
Mom, I have nothing to wear.
Or maybe not.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, nominated for 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. It's a high-velocity, mind-boggling spellbinder that breaks the laws of gravity. 4 stars. A visionary adventure that raises action to the level of art. Discover the Star Wars of Kung Fu. It's high-flying. It roars and soars. It's got everything we go to the movies for. See Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Rated PG-13. Now playing everywhere.
The Intimidator is straight and beaten on the right side, but he will not be denied. And Earnhardt has gone for the lead. And listen to this crowd of 170,000 strong. Mr. Reciprocate, Dale Earnhardt comes down and will take his 10th career victory at Talladega.
A moment ago, I said it was sometimes better to just let Dale take control of an interview. That certainly was the case after his amazing come-from-behind win last October at the Talladega Superspeedway.
Back to the Winston 500. I mean, with 4 laps to go, you were 17th or 18th, but you won.
How to do it.
Yeah, how did you? In fact, let's take a look at the videotape, and you tell me what's going on here.
I don't know how I did it. All right, we got locked in here, and I got Kenny Wallace up behind me, and he was really working well with me. We was pushing through here, and John Andretti's in the front. We're 4 wide. Down the back straightaway, we started pushing away with Kenny behind me and John in front. And I say, okay, now I can finish maybe 5th, 6th. I'm racing with Labonte here. I'm close. I can, make a race out of this for 5th, 6th or somewhere there. And John's right in front. Right here, the TV cameras go to in-car shots and overhead shots. And right here, when I'm fixing to make my move on John, coming off 4 here on the short chute, we go to car camera.
Well, you got to let us know
you
you're
don't see. All right, now watch
up.
this. You'll come back, and I'm gonna be side by side with John Andretti and passing him. How'd I do that? I don't know. I didn't see the replay. But anyway, here we are going to race up, and now I think, okay, I'm gonna get behind Dale Jr. He's coming out. No, he's getting in. So I draft on up beside Dale Jr. through this corner. Again, if it wasn't for Kenny Wallace done his job. We're going through here. All right, coming down the back straightaway, I'm watching Dale Jr. and I'm thinking he's going to pull out in front of me. Here we're going to go because we're getting hooked up again. Kenny puts the bumper to me, Nemechek. I'm waving him on. Here we go. Now watch Dale Jr. Whoa, Dad's there. Oh, I can't go over there. All right, and I draft on it, and I get beside Skinner. Now I'm thinking, we're coming to the white flag. I'm thinking, I can win this race. I got a chance to win it, or Skinner and I is going to win this race. One of us has got to win this race. Richard Childers is going to have a great day. I was running like 18th or something, or 2, 3, 4 to go there. So we're coming back to the flag, and I think, okay, now they're going to get outside by side and run the outside of me and mess the whole thing up. Kenny's staying with me. We're working good. I didn't know Dale Jr. was going to try to go on the inside of Skinner. Sound to get 3 wide. We break away. Dale Jr.'s on the inside. He stirs up the whole mess. So he helped me win the race.
That was that. That was the end of that. Now, people say...
I don't know how I did it.
But obviously, I mean, you have to know something about the draft that other people don't know.
I don't know if it's knowing something about the draft, but it's just I use every advantage. If I feel the air or I know there's air there, I'll duck out and get this air, and I'll duck back in here and get under the guy. I don't know what it is. It's just good reactions, good. I'm very comfortable racing restricted plate racing. Very comfortable racing Daytona, Talladega. I'm very comfortable racing in a group. And it was. I got to hand it to the drivers. They did a great job. We had a meeting on Saturday, talked about it. We had a great meeting, and the race was just a super race. Everybody did a good job setting side by side. It's 40 deep, 3 wide most of the day. And it was a good race,
Our tribute to Dale Earnhardt continues Tuesday evening at 6 Eastern on ESPN2. Dale Earnhardt Remembered. Back in a moment.
Hey, Rhonda! It's me, Anthony! You want to get together later? The doctor said it's not contagious.
Now, Sprite.com makes it easier to buy just about anything you want. Under every cap is a free Sprite or Rocket Cash. Online money you can use through Sprite.com. Drink Sprite, get Rocket Cash. Buy what you want.
Try to think of us as the Osmonds, only we don't get along.
Oh, the night, they've got his style.
What is it with those sideburns?
They've got his moves. They've got a plan.
You ready to play? Always ready to play.
Elvis isn't the only one who can bring down the house. Kurt Russell, Kevin Costner, Courtney Cox.
Are you nuts? Probably.
3,000 miles to Graceland. Rated R. Starts this Friday.
Earnhardt's always been a true champion, and his record speaks for itself. But anytime someone in motorsports has a tragedy like that, you know, the whole motorsports community suffers. I mean, but the only thing you can say is he passed away, died doing what he loved to do. And if there's any, you know, justice, and he'll probably have to be the big guy up in the sky running the racing team.
He was the consummate competitor. He, I think he really defined motorsports for the last 20 years. I remember first Winston Cup race I ever attended was his rookie year down at Talladega, and everybody was talking about him then, and it was really an honor to watch his career progress, and motorsports really grew, and I think as a result of its growth, he epitomized to everyone in the sport what motorsports is all about.
Where is my magazine? Hey, Ray, can you believe that they got Marcus Camby to do the commercial for ESPN the magazine and not me and you?
I don't know, Chris, but, Marcus was pretty good. But we've been perfect for this part.
I know, especially we both subscribers to ESPN the magazine, and we both got the free fleece jacket.
When you eat, live, and breathe sports, ESPN the magazine is where you want to be.
You know, Chris, we need to work on this paddle yo-yo thing. I think that's what ESPN the magazine wants.
Yeah, you're probably right, Ray.
Call now for ESPN the magazine. Bigger, bolder, with words and pictures that zoom right to the heart of the game.
Okay, we need to rehearse. Second. How's this? Where's my magazine?
I like that.
Get 26 issues, a year's worth for just $1 an issue. 66% off the newsstand price. And our gray fleece pullover is free.
That's my magazine, man.
Perfect. Call now. 1-800-480-9922.
RPM Tonight is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com.
Good night, everybody.